This is a brand that's coming back to India after decades, but it's a brand that's not been forgotten because, like Xerox is synonymous for copying, Jeep is synonymous with big, tough-built vehicles meant for off-roading. And that's really its DNA because it's the one that started 4x4 in cars, it's the one that started the low-range movement, it is the one that pioneered off-roading as we know it today. So that is its strength. What we have here is its most popular product, the Grand Cherokee. Not only does it promise to offer you that DNA and heritage and capability of off-roading, but it also promises good levels of luxury. Can it live up to that is what we have to find out. Well, it certainly looks like a big XXL SUV. The styling leans towards the traditional upright stance and squared-off lines. The chunky front has a large chrome grille made up of 7 neat chrome-lined rectangles, flanked by slim headlamps. A strong jawline with the chrome-lined air dam makes it look adequately beefy. There are large 20-inch wheels under the squared-off arches and chrome continues to accent the window frame. The rear windscreen is quite steeply raked, which breaks the square look a bit and is topped off by a spoiler. There's no two ways about it. You want presence, you've got it. I love the way the door closes with a solid thunk. It really feels well built. And the interior feels like a large luxury SUV. It's got lots of glass area, feels nice and airy. There's leather across the dash. There's a 4-wood inlay. There is what is supposed to be, I think, 4 metal, but tacky plastic is all I can call it. That's what sells this a little short. You know, all the quality of the materials used on the inside really don't feel like the price bracket that it's sitting in. We're used to seeing a lot better. You have the joystick lever. What I do like on the inside is the TFT display, which is crisp, it's clear and easy to see. The TFT display is the most impressive part of the interior apart from the space and offers up a host of information too. The large infotainment screen is clear enough but not the most intuitive to use. For storage, you have a box under the armrest and a small covered box in the central console. The seats are large and comfortable and have a wide variety of adjustments, which makes it easy to settle in. The bonus is the vented option on the seats, which turned on to cool, kept me comfortable in the sweltering heat. The second row of seats is roomy too. Most large luxury SUV owners in India prefer this row of seats, the back seat. And it's a comfortable place to be because it's quite spacious. There's loads and loads of legroom. Yes, I know I'm quite short, but as you can see, there's ample and more space for a tall person over here. There's a lot of headroom. The panoramic sunroof really opens it up. The window line is low, so it makes it nice and airy, which is a good thing because actually you're seated quite low. So for a tall person, you would be a little knees up over here. However, you can recline the seat and you can stretch your legs out and get quite comfortable. There are also a lot of goodies over here. You have the aircon controls, you have your USB ports, and of course, you have the TV screens. So, definitely feels like a luxury backseat. Apart from all that, there is a healthy list of kit. Now, without the 7-seat option, you get a XXL size boot too. Everything about this car is XXL, and that's the feeling from behind the wheel as well. Well, it definitely offers you a very commanding position. You do feel like you're driving a tank. You can bully anything else on the road. It feels solid. There's this nice thick steering that makes it feel even tougher. As large as it feels from the inside, the Grand Cherokee is surprisingly nimble and easy to maneuver in traffic conditions. And still, there's a good level of refinement to this car. You know, it's softer side, the engine is nice and silent, the cabin is well insulated. If at all, there's a little bit of rumble from the tires when you go over broken tarmac or concrete sections of road. The standard 18-inch on the other variants would probably help solve that problem. Now, under the hood, the variant that we drove came with a 3-litre V6 diesel, churning out 240 HP and 550 Nm of torque. engine has a healthy dose of torque, but it's lugging almost 2.5 tons around, so it's not exactly enthusiastic. Still, it's happy to serve up power whenever you need it, and it really kicks in after about 2000 RPM. So, driving in city conditions also is very easy. What it does have is decent top-end whack. So if you're cruising down a highway, it's an ideal companion. There's a good amount of grunt at low revs, which is what makes it very tractable. So not only city driving, but even highway motoring is easy with enough power for overtakes and comfortable cruising. In the normal auto mode, the gearbox is a little slow to react, but that's very well countered by using the paddle shifts, and that gives you instant responses. Using the paddles really lets you make full use of the torque produced, and you will find it holding to the red line till it upshifts. This is nice, especially when you're on a winding section of road or you need a quick surge of power for an overtake. It's such a large car, it grips fairly well, and you can carry a fair bit of speed into the corners without feeling unsettled or unsafe. But mid-corner bumps do unsettle it a bit, and if you push hard, you do feel a fair bit of roll. It is at its best when it's driven at a leisurely pace. As far as the ride goes, now the low-speed ride is pretty good. It blunts off the edges of all the bad road sections and potholes. It does get caught out by the deeper ruts and bumps, and as you get quicker, it does firm up, and there's a fair bit of movement on undulating roads, especially the rocking movement that's side to side. The Indian roads really don't allow the large SUV to play to its strengths, and the shortfalls in its dynamic capability are brought to the fore. However, take the tires off the tarmac and onto the dirt, and the Jeep certainly feels at home. Dirt bashing, mud kicking. Well, the Grand Cherokee is up to it all. You can do a fair bit of off-roading in this one. You have a knob on the central console which will give you the options for various kinds of terrain. There's snow, there's sand, there's mud, there's rock. But I find that keeping it in auto pretty much deals with most situations. I've gone through a fair bit of slush and it's handled it absolutely well. There's also a dedicated four-wheel drive low, so whether you want to go dune bashing or climbing up slippery, steep inclines, you can do that too. This is what Jeeps are all about, and if it's space and muscle you're after, yes, it's all there. Jeep are all set to launch at the end of this month, and if you're a fan of the brand, you'll be happy to know that the Grand Cherokee carries its DNA quite proudly. It's built tough and it can do a fair bit of off-roading. It's also a spacious SUV that has a nice engine, rides decently and handles pretty well too. But where it does fall short is the cabin, especially when you consider it's going to be launched at a price of 75 lakh rupee onwards. It just doesn't give you the appeal that other premium brands have at that price point. There are far more plush and luxury cabins around. Well, if you think the price is out of reach, then consider this. At launch, Jeep will only have 2 showrooms, one in Delhi and one in Ahmedabad. So you'll have to drive all the way there to get yourself one of these. You'll just have to wait till Jeep expand their footprint.
Every new car that's launched in the Indian market boosts our ability to travel further, faster and safer. The perfect complement for that would be good roads. But very often it just feels like we are begging for them and getting nothing. But as we found out, in certain pockets, our prayers are being answered.
This is the ORR, the Outer Ring Road, and it forms a beautiful 10-lane necklace all around Hyderabad, stretching for kilometers and kilometers. Given its scale, parts of the ORR are still under construction and yet to be officially opened.
A road like that, once open to the public, probably wouldn't realize the scale of its magnificence for decades. So we decided to treat it just something special.
The second generation Audi R8 is a special car. And this is the V10 Plus, which means it has the absolute everyday usability of the R8, but it packs in a bit more muscle for when you find the right road. It was basically a perfect match for this task.
A car like the R8 V10 Plus and a road like that. You know where we're going with this, don't you? We're after speed. Sweet, unadulterated speed.
The current record was set by Jamie Alguersuari in his Scuderia Toro Rosso Formula 1 car. It stands at 324.2 kilometers per hour.
Obviously, we wanted to break it by a mile. And to do that, we needed calm hands, capable hands, which meant not me. I am passionate about driving and I think I'm a fairly good driver. So when I meet someone faster and younger, it's horrible. And when that younger and faster person is that much faster, it's enough reason to hate. But in the case of this young gun, Aditya Patel, I have nothing but respect. Aditya, you have the task of breaking the Indian top speed record. Tense, you're looking quite tense right now.
A little bit.
Yeah?
It's going to be a little tough.
This is your tense face?
This is my tense face.
I thought so. That's, you get to know what kind of a guy he is, right? Now, you are fairly familiar with the R8, aren't you?
Yeah, I raced the R8 in fact actually, and the racing car, the GT3 car that I drive, it shares 50% of its parts with this particular car. So inside my car feels like the office. This one has an air conditioner, that one doesn't. I guess that's pretty much the only difference.
But today your target is to go for top speed. Normally on a circuit, that's not really the objective, right? So is it going to be a new territory for you in that sense?
It is a new territory. I actually haven't really gone that fast. You know, on the circuit we do probably 270, 280 kilometers per hour. So to break the 300 barrier is going to be a task, and it's going to be interesting to see how it is.
So you do know this car fairly well. Have you helped it in some way to go faster in terms of the setup, or what? Have you done anything with the car?
Well, I do have a few tricks up my sleeve, judging by the road and everything. Ideally, I'd like to run almost everything in dynamic, but I'll use the individual drive select, and I'll run the suspension on comfort because the road's a bit uneven in places.
So you have done a track walk of sorts?
I used another car to go take a look.
Okay.
Before all of you got here.
Okay, fine. So he has the big task of breaking the Indian top speed record. So we wish you the best of luck, and let's see if he can break it by that much.
Thank you.
While Aditya had gained the skills over the years, the R8 had to be prepped for this task. Well, actually, it wasn't. It didn't need to be. All we did was saddle the R8 with lots of data logging equipment and cameras, and that was that. It needed fuel, and it was ready to go.
We had auditors from E&Y to validate our record run.
With that out of the way, the ever-ready duo got down to business. It was a hard and quick charge, and the number that flashed on the screen was heartening. But the V-Box had the true story, and it was verified by the good folks from E&Y. And we had a new record, 332.2 kilometers per hour. Hormuz was thrilled.
So Aditya, early in the morning, crack of dawn, first shot, 332.2 kilometers an hour. Tell me about it.
To be frank, it's the first time I'm breaking the 300 kilometer per hour barrier. And I
By
was
quite a
surprised.
margin.
By quite a margin, exactly. 330 is like 10% more. So I was quite surprised actually how easy it was to do it. The car was quite stable. It was fairly straightforward. I put my foot down, start to finish, and no worries, no problems whatsoever.
Just try and break it down, dissect it. I know, it goes very fast, but obviously up to about 200 Ks, it's fairly straightforward. Up to 300, I would imagine it's also straightforward. But after that, I'm sure every kilometer is kind of amplified. You feel everything. Tell me about the ride properly.
Well, 200 to 300 wasn't too tough for sure. 300 and above, yeah, it took a little while for it to creep up to 320 and then 330. But I was surprised how easily the car went through, even through the slightest of corners. And of course, our whole course being cordoned off, we had all the right equipment in place. So at least you had the confidence within you to keep your foot down.
Were you getting a sort of tunnel vision towards the end, or was it quite comfortable?
Not really actually, because it is really wide. It's just that a slight corner would seem like maybe a bigger corner, but again, with that much width, your 4 lanes, it's very easy. Just keep your foot down and cross the finish line. And I was, like I said, surprised.
Tell me about the bumps, the crosswind, because at that speed, you're very, very sensitive even to something like crosswinds.
Yeah, there are bumps and a little bit of crosswind, but as long as you've got your hands on the wheel, nicely weighted, keep your eyes on the road, it's fine. If you start to get distracted, for sure it'll catch you off guard, and then you'll start to move around and then you get scared.
So you're making it sound really easy. Can I do it?
I think you can do it.
Okay.
As long as you keep your mind to it, for sure you'll be able to do it.
Okay, I'm going to give it a shot. This is unreal. It just pulls and pulls and pulls. Ooh, 300 in a flash. What a road.
So Hormuz, finally 332 kilometers per hour.
Yeah, I can't believe it. I just can't believe it. I mean, doing 332 or 331.9 to be exact, just unbelievable. You know, Aditya, what really blew my mind was, to be honest, how easy it was. That road was so wide open. Absolutely poker straight. You can just see everything around you. It's slightly elevated. It's got those Armco barriers. So I think as far as safety goes, I know that, we had covered all the bases. So I was really feeling good about that. Then it was just me, because I'll tell you one thing. Over 300, it's that absolute crazy tunnel vision. You're just looking absolutely straight. And even the white lines, they're like strobe lights just going choo 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 choo. It's like unbelievable. Just everything is just absolutely hurtling at you at a ridiculous pace. And what's amazing is how accessible the performance is. It was really quite well planted. Yeah, you do feel the wind and it does move about, but it's not edgy at all. But I'm just blown away. To do 332 kilometers on Indian soil makes us faster than the Formula One car of Jamie Alguersuari 2011 Indian Grand Prix. That was the aim, to really beat that speed and be the fastest on Indian soil. But I think honestly what came across for me, it was more than just the speed, is that speed really is relative. At the end of the day, when you have conditions like this, you have a car like this, it's fairly easy, and I think that's what really stood out for me.
When you have a closed environment, you don't realize how easy it is in a modern day car, and you actually feel safe. You don't feel like the car's going to go away from you. So the two of us were definitely surprised today.
Well, absolutely. It's more than just the top speed we've hit. I think what we've achieved is that you can be super safe at 300, and that's the takeaway for me.
Firstly, congratulations to Autocar. I think fantastic achievement, another record for you. Really pleased that you could do it in our car, and I think it shows what a wonderful rounded machine it is, that you can go all the way there over the speed breakers and then set such a fantastic record here in India.
So there I was, reporting enthusiastically from the sidelines with the newest members of the 200 mph club.
So that's 332.2 kilometers per hour achieved safely and comfortably in Audi's R8 V10 Plus on the ORR. That is history made. And you might ask, what's next? Well, for that, you'll just have to wait and see.